So we've turned the idols into a SWAT team.
Yes, so.
A Top Gun SWAT team. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are back to start a new series of Macross. We have got the listing thing that I have to do all the time. We have started with Macross 0. We went into SDF Macross. We did, Do You Remember Love? We did 2012. We did Macross Plus OVA. We did Macross Plus the movie. We went on to Macross 7. We did all of the, Macross 7 Plus, Macross 7, what was
OVAs?
What's that?
OVAs?
Yeah, I can't remember. They had a name to them, though. There was not, Macross 7. It wasn't Macross Dynamite 7. That's a different thing that we also did when we also did the short film of Macross 7.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the Macross 7 3 OVA thing is called. I can't remember. We did that. Then we went on to Macross Frontier, and we did Macross Frontier, the movies. Then we did a bunch of other short extra stuff, including also FB7, which is amazing. Yeah, we did everything Frontier that we could find English translations for. Which leaves us the only currently existing Macross property left until, I guess maybe 2027 or however long it takes them to make the next Macross thing.
I mean, technically there's two properties, but one is official and the other one is in an alternate universe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Macross 2. I mean, that depends. Because remember, they listed it amongst the stuff for the advertisement for the next thing, so maybe they're tying it all in together. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wouldn't be beyond what I would think possible for them to say, okay, now here's a Macross series that crosses dimensions. Like, we've already expanded across the whole freaking galaxy. So,
I mean, put the dimension in Super Dimension Fortress, right?
Yeah, hey, maybe it's the dimension that the Proto-Devlin came from.
Yeah.
We do know they came from a different dimension. They already put the dimension into it. So, anyway, we are now here with Macross Triangle, otherwise known as Macross Delta. But we're not going to be watching exactly the first episode today. We're going to be watching something called Macross .89. Which is actually apparently a preliminary version of the original first episode, according to this thing. That's why it's called .89. Apparently called Prefetch Edition. So I'm doing that thing where I read the first sentence and avoid all spoilers. So this is a Prefetch edition of the first episode, and then next time, when we're recording all the episodes together, we're going to be watching episode 1 plus, the same way that we did with Macross Frontier, where we watched the Deculture edition of the first episode. I don't know if first episode plus of Delta has its own specific name, but we'll be able to compare what the differences are between Prefetch edition and the extended bonus version of the first episode. So,
also a reminder that this is one of the two series of Macross, aside of some movies and some extra material I haven't watched, that I have not watched. I skipped 7, also skipped Delta, so I'm now watching Delta.
All right, just waiting for that. Oh, well, here it comes. The bite, except for when he spoils himself on stuff. He's a wiki reader. Don't you guys forget that. Whenever Lessons wants to appear smart, he might have just read a wiki earlier in the day.
You gotta learn somehow.
Yeah, sure. Here's the problem: is I don't think that applies anywhere. There's no example of that, because that would be the smart thing to say if you're in school, right? Oh, this guy's reading the textbooks, this fucking asshole over here. It's yeah, it doesn't work the same way when we're talking about media, right?
Well, that's exactly what I did when I was in high school. I was a kid that would read all the textbooks before his classes started.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't apply in the same way. Nobody's there's a difference between this asshole pre-read the history textbook versus this asshole watched the movie before we got to the theater together.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, anything you want to put out there before we get into this? Because obviously I've never watched Delta before.
I have been warned that if I that my opinion of Macross 7 might be very similar to this, but I like to think that I don't want to be. I don't want to be that jaded. I'm going to give Delta its own weight.
I've been told apparently I'll enjoy this. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's from the Macross 7 that I enjoyed Macross 7, so I'll enjoy this. But people have said Theta will probably enjoy this. So I became Data for a second. Data will probably enjoy this. Well, it's weird because I also have to deal with the fact that my online moniker is Ractus with the channel name, but I don't want to go by the name Ractus on the channel I'm on, so I've created a secondary name. So it's not the first thing that jumps into my head to call myself. But yeah, no, okay. Gonna do the same thing here that I asked you for 8th MS Team when we watched the first episode of that the other day. What's one thing you're most excited for possibly getting from the show? Obviously, knowing that you know nothing.
I want to see where they go with this. Because we've done the exploration cities and we've done military, sci-fi stuff. We have the original series. I don't know where they're going to take this. I mean, what are they going to explore? What is the space within the larger Macross concept? We're going to have music. We're going to have giant robots transforming. But what's really going to be the impulse for this, right? Are they going to bring back the Centrati? Or maybe that mysterious force we don't never talk about, right? Or it's going to be the corporations, or it's going to be the military being evil this time around, or a new alien race. Or, we've done alien races. We've done, political intrigue. What are we going to do now, right?
You mean the Centrati as an enemy? Because the Centrati are already mixed in with us. That's like, you can't bring them back. They're already here.
Or Supervision Army.
That's you spoiled it. That was going to be mine. Something excited to see. The Supervision Army, finally. Like, not much of an army if they don't fucking exist. Like, the Centrati haven't mentioned that they defeated them at any point. But I was going to say that you're saying bring back the Centrati. I was asking as an enemy because, as we saw in that one extra for Macross 7, Fleet of the Strongest Women, that rogues and Centrati fleets are still just wandering about. And apparently the former, I think, World War II UN's back at that point was just to destroy them on sight, don't negotiate.
Although, maybe actually have a Centrati main character. Not quarter Centrati or half Centrati, just a full-on Centrati main character. They're always a second. I mean, Gould was the closest. Well, she was playing she was not a main character.
Milia?
She was just... Milia was a supporting character. Main character. Main character. Like the hero or whoever happens to be is actually Centrati. To see things from a Centrati perspective, right? Especially after this many decades, right? It's like, how's life changed for them?
Retire?
How do they feel? Yeah, but they're secondary characters. I mean, the role like Rick's role or Samuel's role.
Well, I mean, Retire was our main point of view character for SDF Macross for the Centrati. Anytime we needed to know what the Centrati were up to, it was Bretai talking to Exodal.
Yeah, but now, decades later, with all the changes that happened to the Centrati, supposedly integrating with human culture.
Mylene was a main character.
Close to, but she was half. Quarter
Does
Centrati?
That matter, though, when your mother, who's a secondary character, is full Centrati and you're constantly talking to her even though you don't want to?
And she clearly grew up in a completely human situation, mother being a mayor of the city.
It's such a weird thought in this whole, we got to come together, and we haven't got that protoculture thing about this is what it means to live in peace with one another. And you're saying, I want to see the point of view of segregated Centrati.
I mean, it doesn't have to be segregated. I mean, we have a big galaxy.
Well, your point was that Mylene grew up in like a humanish culture or a mixed human culture, and it's like, I don't want to see that, is what you're saying. So you want to see a segregated Centrati culture. You want to see the Quamzim version of what future Centrati would be like.
I want to see more of like the frontier version of Centrati culture where they have their own malls and their own, because how does the Centrati have really adapted to or after this connection with my clones, right? Are they creating their own culture? Is it a hybrid? Is it they fully integrated? Well, I mean, you can create your own culture.
They had to have created their own culture. We've in fact been told that. Ogatai back in Macross Frontier. So it's been years since we first got culture again.
Yeah. So
I was going to throw out there a possibility. You were asking, what do we do now? Because we've explored all these other concepts, and we talked about this back in Macross Plus. The concept that Isamu has all these listed military engagements that he's been in, and a lot of them have been insurgencies and revolts and defenses of planets, and it's like, that's not something we've really explored.
That the post-war situation is more unstable than realized, and it's not merely because we also know that they've been fighting something with Centrati. Macross Plus started with a fight against Centrati, Centrati.
Also the element that the government has changed so many times. Like we had 2 different versions of the UN, then Nuns, which is different version of the UN as well. So obviously there's something going on in the background where the government's constantly being overthrown or changed every time.
At least once.
No, I mean, again, it changed from SDF Macross to Macross 7, because I think Macross Plus still had the same government. And then Macross 7 to Macross Frontier. So 3 times the government has changed.
No, I think the government in 7 was the same.
No, it literally goes from like the United Nations to Spacey. UN Spacey as the governing. I can't remember the name of it, but there was definitely a change in government.
Spacey is Space Navy.
I understand that. That's why I clarified before you corrected me that I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was a change in name between SDF Macross and Macross 7. And then another change from Macross 7 to Macross Frontier. And if it's changing names, that might indicate a change in government. Because again, the government policies on things has also changed in those time spans. I already gave away that my main thing would obviously be Supervision Army, but, obviously I've got the tangential things in the background, which are 90% likely not to happen, which would be Birdman showing up with Shin in the Sarah, or we encounter the Mega Road. These things from the past that I would like to see, but are pretty damn sure are never going to happen again. Or what if the Mega Road collided with the Birdman and then Macross Delta is actually a ship called Macross Delta that has to go rescue them in a Andromeda situation? Not Mass Effect, I mean the show Andromeda, where they collide with one another and almost fell into a black hole, and now we've got to pull them out of the black hole, but since they've been near a black hole, time has been passing slower for them, so they're actually the same age as when we saw them back then. So we get all our characters that we saw them last as young as they were.
Anyway.
What do you mean you're still singing my songs? I get rights for that, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and see what Macross Delta Prefetch version is about.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Cool. I did want to see a zombie show. Oh, cool, another map that I'm gonna have to trace all these things across. Ragna.
Oh, terrorism. Okay.
VAR syndrome. Ooh, are the Proto-Devlin involved?
だが、その脅威に完全と立ち向かう者たちがいた。戦術音楽ユニット、ワルキューレ。彼女たちの 時空を超えた歌声とそれを守り戦う
Sounds like Birdman to me.
今新たなステージが
Sounds like Sound Force to me.
Well, it makes them both. That's just the whole element of transcends time and space. So we've turned the idols into a SWAT team.
Yes, so.
A Top Gun SWAT team.
いや密航者めどこに行きやがった面倒かけてくれる
Is that a drone that they're using?
Looks like one of those puppeteer things.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It feels like
literally
the
has a
apples are
spin.
very, Ashahal. No, the guy who had the syndrome, I forgot the name, VAR syndrome, he was also eating an apple that looked exactly like that.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if, regrettably, they open a container and she's coming out with, like, all the veins and shit on her.
Eberman, wow. Yeah, that's on the nose.
Does he have a fold crystal on his necklace?
No, they give him a name of a fighter plane maneuver.
Does he have a fold crystal on his necklace? Is what I'm asking.
No, it doesn't look like that.
You're not seeing. When he was laying down, it was very visible.
Oh yeah, I see it now, but it doesn't look like it has a full crystal.
You're not seeing the whole thing. Oh, you sit for a second.
It could be a full crystal.
It would tie it to Frontier. Plus, this is after the whole fold crystal thing.
No, I would say that his name is Element. That's a fighter maneuver. That's a name actually, or German ace, I think.
Really, I only pay attention to names in this show to determine if their character is related to people we know. How could you possibly even hear her? Exposition. We're getting exposition.
So she was getting married at 14? Yeah, so that sounds like Millie, Mylene. And of course they have rice balls. Well, rice cakes.
しかし結婚したくないくらいで密航ね。それだけじゃないよ。じゃじゃじゃーん。これってバールを歌で鎮圧するとかっていう。
Oh, look at that! Almost like Sound Force cures diseases.
It actually doesn't cure, it suppresses it.
Well, in VAR syndrome it does. It does cure the common cold, though. It's funny, I thought I was going to have an argument about this, but literally just fucking comes up, prompting an argument. Time to stow away on a different ship.
残念。まあ諦めるんだな。ほら、食えよ。
いや、諦めん。絶対ラグナに行ってワルキューレになるかね。
なんでそこまで。
Well, we know they have 4 members. So if we see 3 members before she gets there, then we'll know what's going on. Yeah, I remember that from the Gundam opening.
Reach for the sky or the sun.
くだらない。
You're
オーディション
ruined.
なんて落ちるに決まってる。
絶対落ちん。風に乗れば飛べる。そんぐらい大事なもんあなたにだってあるやろ。
ないよ。
趣味とか恋人とか。
ない。
お仕事は？
仕事に好きも嫌いもあるかよ。
Fair enough.
ああ、それで生きてて楽しいんかね。
大きなお世話。
おにぎりごちそうさまでした。
I mean, just knock the drone out of the air. Can't chase you then.
なんだよあいつは。
ようこそアルシャハルへ。シャハルシティへの直通バスは3番から8番。
ちょっとどうしてくれんかね。
衛星よね。
これが都会ね。楽園かね。この声。虹の色。
ビッグだ。
見つかった。
なんだ。
何俺。どうかした？ニコモ。
It's a lot of hair.
なんでもないわ。こちら異常なし。マキナとレイナの方はどう？
Reina Prowler. That's a name.
シャハルシティも異常なし。
Also, fingernail cell phones.
104式リガードちゃん。キャー。こちらレーナ。複合センサー異常なし。
今度うちの店で辛味噌クラゲ餃子ってのを出すんだけど、よかったら。
いい。クラゲは生がいい。生で丸飲み。
How can you eat a jellyfish raw without getting killed
任務中だと
or
ジョック。
poisoned?
うらさ。でもよ、本当にバールは現れんのかね。
この一月の間に10件のバールシンドロ
Oh, I thought we were about to find out that they've been, like,
そのうち3件で生体フォールド波の異常
shot himself in the head.
15時間前、シャハルシティの近辺でも探知されたわ。
I thought we were going to find out that they've been causing and suppressing the outbreaks themselves.
で、ミクモさん、うちのまっすぐ娘はどうだ？
さあ、あの子と一緒じゃ潜入調査なんてできないわ。
ミクモさん応答してください。ミクモさん。まったく、いつもこれだから。
ふざけやがって。生きてて楽しい。
なんだ密航犯を追い込んだんだってよ。ああ、まあ抜けなやつ。
So it's a drone with a taser.
ほら、おとなしく国へ帰りな。
帰らん。飛べば飛べるんね。
I think it's just a lot bigger than it looked. If he could land his thing on it.
なんだ。
Okay.
Okay, our mid-roll segments are gotcha games, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
なんで助けてくれたん？
さあね。あんた、星はそれとも。
So I wonder who this guy's going to be an orphan of or related to.
輸送船ならつてがあるからさっさと。ラグナまで飛ぶつもりかよ。
飛ぶ。風に乗れば飛べる。命がけで飛べば飛べる。
命がけ。たかがオーディションにそんな価値なんてあるかよ。
ある。さっきからなんでそんなことばっか言うんかね。
なかったからだよ。なもん。 散々いろんなとこ行っていろんなことしてでも見つからなかった。俺だってどこかに何かあるんじゃないかって思ってたけど。
So, like Alto, who wanted to join the military, this guy is looking for a reason to exist.
I too like the Aladdin video game.
私は
Mm,
好きな歌を歌いたい。
Oh, you also throw apples in the Aladdin video game, now that I think about it.
yeah.
だから絶対帰らない。
Gonna fall.
Yeah. Or not.
No, gonna fall.
Oh, yes.
So you did a shit job of catching her. Since you apparently landed on the ground and you fell on top of her.
この変態ミコアン確保。違うってじゃあ婦女暴行犯とでも呼ばれたい。
はい、ミッコハは私です。
え、すみませんでした。あんた空港の警備員じゃないな。何者だ。
The security guard for Valkyrie or whatever we call it. Genus.
Yeah.
They tied it back. Gonna add a whole
Yeah.
bar back to Macross.
苦情でしたら広報に。
デルタ招待ってひょっとしてワルキューレと一緒に飛んどる？
そうですが。
はあ、ゴリゴリ。
なんなんですか。
You'll figure it'd be the Genus family that connects most of the properties together.
Yeah.
ガドラスから出るケース。受け妻。エセケスタ。撃てま。
歌。
Is this VAR syndrome? VAR syndrome is caused by music? So I guess that explains why the other ones have to sing to suppress it.
Mm-hmm. They also say biofold signal, so I guess it uses fold transmission.
I guess.
Some sort.
I was actually hoping it was a Proto-Devlin. Because those were clearly
Yeah.
Zentradi, so I was looking for the Zentradi effect. And we didn't know much about fold stuff back when the Zentradi were, not the Proto-Devlin were around, so that would explain.
These, yeah, the CGI here is not good. It looks too fake, right?
No.
Huh?
No. Look, if you're being honest with yourself, the CGI in Macross Frontier was kind of shit too, but we just like enjoyed it enough to get past it.
But most of it was in space and it worked. This one here, it looks so different from where it is right now that, you know.
Look, I'm not going to be a snob that shits on the CGI unless it's extremely bad. Like, I have seen some really bad all CGI shows. This isn't that bad. Bingo! I feel like after Plus, we just idolized this one version of Valkyrie.
No, I think these are new ones.
Yeah, I mean, they're all in the same shape.
Okay. I guess it's this, they're going with their brand is their own brand, huh?
Welcome back, Sound Force. We missed you. Or holograph fighting technology.
Yeah.
That is dangerous shit.
I think it's holograms. They're actually not riding it.
No, I mean her jumping onto the top of it and like one cord holding on.
That's them. It's colorful, I'll give it that much.
Again, we're combining this fighting now with the holograms.
Oh, they're using the drones. Okay.
No, it's legit what I was asking at the end of Frontier. If they could just distract them with the holograms and everything. And they're like combining all those thoughts together. How do you know that? Oh, because you dance around in your loader mech all day. That's right, I forgot. Pickle Rick! So I guess the other singer is folding in bacteria into Zentradi brains or whatever?
Or activating something in the Zentradi.
Well, I don't know if they're folding that thing in or if that thing already existed. Obviously, it's not a necessary thing to a Zentradi brain because they just destroyed it and it was fine. Like gambling. What are you doing, gambling? Half a second, I thought he was going to be Max again.
Who are these guys, though?
Iceman? Got a little something on your face there, but... You know, I've been saying all this time, Valkyrie is the one thing they were missing was a dick.
Okay.
Literally, the thing pops out. The new UN Spacey.
Nuns.
Yeah. The only time they've carried over the name. So again, I appreciate they're using all the technology that they've built up over the last few shows.
この風できんぞ。くらえ。ドライ、ツバイ、アイス。
The fighting is good. Now that they're in the air. These that bagpipes in the background? Interesting.
早い。死神。
Skull Squadron? I mean, it looked like an Undertaker, but it was a... I don't know. Not an Undertaker, Grim Reaper.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Did he? I closed
God
my
of
eyes
Death.
for a second to think about it, so I completely missed it. Oh, is this going to be a Sympho gear sort of thing? That she's going to get recruited in to replace the one who just died in episode 1?
No.
That's Sympho gear.
So these guys are using the VAR to what, conquer territory?
No, she's not dead. Never mind.
I also like the fact that they are part of the fighting too, right?
What the hell did that
They
mean?
know how to fight.
Whatever that means. Okay, so they have some sort of power source that exists in other people.
The music is catchy, I'll give it that much too.
I mean, I'll have to hear it on my own, like, note-taking thing to be able to pick it out.
So I guess she's an alien?
Windermere. Windermane.
Yeah.
Windermane.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a family name, like a bloodline, a disease.
Yeah.
You know, it could be a disease.
So these
we covered
these
that
enemies
Ranker's
are-
abilities came from a disease, so
They're instigating this VAR syndrome.
we don't know if they're aliens.
No, these other guys, the guys in the dark
Yeah, I'm
mix.
saying you called them aliens. I said we don't know if they're aliens or not.
No, I call her an alien.
Which one?
The Windemar, or something like that. She could be an alien. Well, humanoid alien, you know.
I doubt it. She got human ears. That's the one thing you've constantly pointed out in every series, that the aliens
Yeah,
all
true.
have different ears. No, I think it's going to be something else. I think the thing to figure out would be, one, the heart thing that started glowing.
Yeah.
That's clearly the source of the power. The thing that was in there, I don't know if it's in their brains or not. Like, whatever the thing that the VAR syndrome activates.
Yeah.
Because apparently it's not supposed to be there because
Yeah.
they can destroy it and the person becomes fine again. Yeah, I didn't figure there was going to be something else because that's the prologue. That's the thing advertising the other thing you're going to see later.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
Yeah,
I
but
do
wanna know who
appreciate
these
that
enemies
they...
are.
Well,
Also,
yeah, next
who
week.
are these enemies? Who are these enemies, right? Who are equipped with... apparently,
Well, I mean,
what, they're trying
again,
to
I feel
conquer
like
this
the
planet?
thing that you would have to assume is that we're on the good side, and maybe we're not.
I guess so.
Maybe that's the insurgency.
They seem pretty well equipped for insurgency.
Are they? They're 4 guys.
Yeah, but they
The
also had a
other guys
fleet.
had... No, the other guys had the fleet. Because we saw the
Yeah.
defense fleet, and then they're fighting the defense fleet and bombing the city. So they've only got 4 ships, and a temple somewhere. I don't know. Because we saw it going up the steps and that person looking at a bunch of floating display information and singing, and that activates the VAR syndrome. Assuming that either of those things have anything to do with one another, VAR syndrome singer could be an independent third party, and these are just upset people, you know?
They seem to be not very upset at all. They seem to be taking advantage of the situation.
No, I mean, they do... Just because you're happy to kill somebody doesn't mean you're not upset. You could be upset, and that's the reason that you're happy to kill people.
Yeah, we're going to need more information. So far, I find it intriguing. They're certainly leaning on the whole singing, full bore. Like, this is, front and center. This is what we do, right? This is all about the singing, right?
Well, like I said, I appreciate the
effects.
mixture of all the technology. Like I said during Frontier, why don't they try and distract the Vajra with giant holograms? And now they've got drones that project holograms, but they also project energy because we already covered shield technology plenty of times since SDF Macross. So now we're combining holograms, shields, and drones. Yeah, like I said, I appreciate that we're using everything that we've developed so far, and then we're putting it all into one thing. Like, what can we do with all of this? Well, what if it's like what if it's like the Star Trek holodeck, right? What if we form a hologram, but it's also physical because we're using the shield?
Yeah. So I'm certainly looking forward to more of this. More questions and answers, but that's a good thing in the beginning.
I obviously think she's also lying about where she comes from, because I don't think the mayor told her to marry a farmer. Obviously, she comes from a bloodline of some sort, so it's probably she's running away from something more serious and didn't want to tell that guy. But then her story inspired that guy, so now he's attached to her in some respect.
And we know that there's a genius involved?
Yeah. Like I said, I almost thought that guy on that ship was going to be Max. The guy who pops it open and pulls out the sunglasses is could be Max. But then I was like, nah, Max would look older.
Max be in his 60s or older. It's 50 years since the event of.
Well, also he's in charge of Macross 7 still, so he should be elsewhere. I don't know. Again, my hopes were up that the Proto Devlin would show up because it's all the Zentradi freaking out so far.
Yeah, I could do without the Proto Devlin.
Yeah, but like I said, I would prefer if they did come back. So
why they basically if they show up, everything goes sideways because they're just it's kaiju in this scenario. It's like we're
it's
more
not
powerful
kaiju.
than
You just keep remembering the 3 that were huge. Remember, they were small ones too.
Yeah, but they're so
could show up.
powerful.
Civil, so what? So what if they're powerful? So were the Vajra. The Vajra are also
you could
powerful.
fight the Vajra
until they adapt, because the Vajra are also like the fucking Borg. They just adapt to your weapons.
And then you had new weapons. So it was an arms race with the
wasn't really an arms race.
Vajra.
Develop new weapons and then they adapt to it. The Proto Devlin, you had to figure them out. Yeah, that was also an arms race, a psychological arms race.
Not really. It was just music. Just sing to them, and hopefully that works.
Oh, so you had a problem with the Zentradi, is what you're telling me? Because really, all you had to the Zentradi is you sing to them, and that's it.
Not really. I mean, the
you're
reason
just being
why
a hypocrite.
I
you don't
talked
like
about
the Proto Devlin for some reason, and you're just being a hypocrite about it.
Not being a hypocrite because I understood why music affected the Zentradi. The whole Macross system, it just, like I said before, it just broke the wheel in a way that I just didn't like. It was like they just went a different direction. It was like they exaggerated things. Like if a Proto Devlin shows up, it's like, oh wait, they're all dead. Boom, that's it.
Except they're not, because that's not what the Proto Devlin do.
They do kill a lot of people.
Yeah, they don't just kill everybody. They just drain whoever they want to drain. They have goals. They're not mindless creatures like the Vajra.
Which were not really mindless. They had a goal. They wanted to save Ranka.
Right. But I mean, ultimately, they just... Well, actually, no, they do go mindless when they're out of control. When they're not... When they're like getting conflicting signals, or when they're not receiving their main signal, they just attack. Like, as you brought up earlier when we were doing the rankings with Henry, Dude became a
Yeah.
bloody mask. He didn't do anything wrong. In fact, he wasn't even around Renka. Like, they just showed up, started attacking.
No, he actually was fighting, and he died in front of Ranka because guy was
Yeah,
going to
because
go
the
for
fight
Ranka.
wandered there. But he didn't start the fight in front of Renka. He had nothing to do with Renka to begin with. In fact, these guys just came out of nowhere. They didn't go to Renka. They just started attacking the fleet. So again, it's easy to paint the Vajra as, like, misunderstood at the end. But you remember, they were just killing people at the beginning. And again, the Proto-Devlin also had a goal.
Yeah, but it's the thing is that the power curve with the Proto-Devlin just break the completely power curve, and it's like
I don't think it matters.
they broke. It matters to me.
Well, cool. I don't think it matters.
It does because
don't
it's like,
fight them is the power curve. We have to find a different way.
Then you lose. You lose.
Cool. You know what else that had a power curve? The Zentradi fleet when it showed up at Earth.
You could fight the Zentradi, just that they had numbers in their side.
Oh, also they were. Also, they fell to music.
They fell to the fact that their culture was not adapted to be able to cancel the clash of culture. There's more depth to what happens with the Zentradi than whatever happens.
There's more depth to anything when you explore it and don't write it off offhand.
There was no depth to the Vajra. Oh, we want to eat people. Oh no, hey, we found out that we don't have to eat people. Bye. Like, okay.
You said Vajra, by the way.
I mean the Proto-Devlin. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was the depth there that they wanted to eat people because it was the only source of energy that they could get, and then they discovered another way. You know, kind of like you would try to do in a peace negotiation between peoples.
Not even peace negotiations. It's like, oh, in the last 5 minutes of the show, we discovered that we don't have to do this. Oh well, cool. Bye. That's it. That's what happened.
I mean, when you write things off that way, you can say the same kind of things for everything. Like, oh, at the Battle of Earth, we convinced a bunch of Zentradi that they didn't actually have to fight the whole time, and we just killed the ones that didn't.
But how you got there was more like literally. That's what happened in Macross 7. Like in the last time, like, oh, you got the thing. Oh, okay, cool. Bye. That's what literally happened. That's it's like you complaining that we didn't get shown the destruction of Earth.
I mean, again, you are shrinking everything down to the end of that last movie, whereas we actually did get. If you take the Lolicon 3 from SDF Macross and their development over time, yeah, I didn't name them. I'm just saying, and their development over time and how that spreads to the rest of everything. Apply that to Giggle. And how Giggle passes that on to Civil. And then Civil develops. And Giggle has been developed. Development does happen. Just because you don't like it or the characters doesn't mean that it doesn't actually build up over time.
Yeah, who killed himself. And the problem is...
He sacrifices himself to save the woman he loves.
The problem is... the way it's done in Macross 7 is so ham-fisted, and like literally people don't even talk to each other. They're like,
I was really hoping to say literally that guy had a ham for a fist.
Oh, now I understand. So what do you understand? No, I just understand. What do you say? I get it.
Basar is the one who's guilty of not talking. Everybody else did talk. Milia explains everything she's frustrated with to Mylene and Michael. Max is constantly trying to figure shit out. Ray may be a little bit guilty of not talking to people, but everything we know about Ray is expressed by the end of the show regardless. Hell, even Gepernick, we know what they're up to by the end because it's expressed in the show. Like, Basara is a worse character for not expressing himself, but everything we need to know, we know by the end.
Yeah. It could have been much, much better. And it wasn't. And here, I think I'm more intrigued with what's happening here. That I was like, this so far it seemed like a better show. It doesn't have a strong beginning as Frontier does, because Frontier, like, the stakes were pretty high. But
I would
It's
argue
still-
the stakes are pretty high here. In
I mean,
Frontier, the
planet-
first episode was literally the Vajra attack after we meet all of our main characters, and then Renka is in danger, and we see one guy get turned into a paste. And literally here, we see a bunch of ships get destroyed in space, and these guys are bombing the city. The only lacking factor to make it equivalent is we didn't see somebody get pasted by that bombing.
True.
Otherwise, I'd say it's equivalent stakes. Especially when one person is like singing a disease into your head that's going to drive you crazy. Well, he turns you into a rage zombie. Except a smarter rage zombie, because apparently you can create like terrorist bombs and whatnot.
Well, we know somebody literally blew himself up in front of a truck. So
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
He held out an explosive, a timed explosive,
Yeah.
so he had clearly an ability to create that. Especially if we take it for granted that whoever's singing the VAR syndrome into you is doing it at a distance. So they're not supplying you with shit. You went crazy, built a bomb, and then went out to hurt people.
Yeah. So
I guess this
First-
is also the weaponization of music to the opposite side.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, all the series so far have been music for the side of, if not good, for us, either way. Because obviously, if you're saying that the Vajra were not bad, just misused, then using Renka to subdue them so that we can just kill them in space is obviously a bad thing to do. So,
Yeah. And then using Ranka to control them was also a bad thing to do.
but my point being that now we have somebody using music for explicitly malicious reasons. Again, assuming, because it could be completely that because our main characters are on one side, the assumption is that they are on the good side, but it could be that maybe new UN Spacey is bad.
Yeah, but this situation is okay. My methods to fight the Union seem to be pretty bad because I'm enslaving people or causing them to cause random damage and kill and destroy. So it's not a targeted attack against the UN in a new UN. Right?
Maybe it is. Maybe that's why we didn't see anybody get pasted. Maybe they are literally bombing very specific targets.
Seems like they're doing a lot of damage in the city without any.
This goes to the. God, we didn't have the debate because you watched the movie version of Gundam Seed. The argument about Waltfield, very specifically burning a town to the ground, but ensuring that nobody got hurt, but also destroying all of their supplies in the middle of a desert. Is it as evil that he didn't make sure that nobody got hurt if the knowledge that they might not survive in the desert without the supplies? But they discriminately bombed a city, and we very much did not see anybody get hurt, so we don't know that anybody got hurt.
Yeah, but you're still leaving them homeless and without shelter and food. So yeah, it's still it literally is a war crime.
I mean, you're leaving them with an option versus if they to find another way to survive. I mean, you're not killing them.
Yeah. No, you're just leaving them to the death. Oh, I'm not going to kill you, but you're going to starve.
Well, to be fair, they are in the middle of a highly advanced society. It's not impossible to think that there might be a social welfare net that would keep them in a position that they could stay alive.
The people who destroy the city are the occupiers. They control the social net. So
they're not occupying the city. Literally, they're bombing it. We haven't even seen them land. They're not occupying the city. I'm talking about the existing government of the place.
I mean, here or in Delta in.
Sorry, I moved on to Delta. Like the thing that I said about them bombing and
it doesn't matter.
When I said the bombing, we saw nobody die. That's when I was moving on to Delta again, because that's in Seed. They make sure the whole place is evacuated before they start bombing. Here, they just start bombing, and that's why I was saying we didn't see anybody die. So this might be a situation where since they didn't kill anybody, there might be the assumption that there's a social system in place, that these people aren't just going to starve on the streets.
You're still living people without their homes and exposed to the elements
Again,
and probably injured.
The conceit is they're not dead, though. as long as you're not dead, you have a chance. And again, they're not on like a backwater planet with like no government. This is a seemingly well-to-do place, and they're not hopefully left to nothing. You still have options while you're alive. You have no options when you're dead.
True. But that doesn't justify destroying people's homes.
Again, we don't know. The problem is that we have a wide canvas to make assumptions on. Like, what if the people here are guilty of committing a genocide the next planet over, and these are the people fighting back against that genocide? Literally, you're like, oh, well, we have no right to take their homes. Well, in fact, these people are advocating the destruction of these other people's homes. Like, this is a counterattack for all we know, right? There's too wide of a canvas. And I'm saying that I feel like what might be going on is the, not a red herring, just a put you off of your feet thing, that we're going to learn these characters, we're going to come to enjoy these characters, and then find out that these are the bad guys somehow.
I don't see why that would be the case.
Because shows like to do that. Like, I'm not talking like 100%, this is the thing. I'm just throwing, you know how I like to throw out theories at the wall, and sometimes they stick, sometimes they don't. I just have that feeling inside of me that among shows that I've been watching recently, or maybe experiences across the spectrum now, that's a thing that they might try to do. The same way, what's his name? The guy who shot the president last time.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. You mean in Frontier?
Yeah.
Oh, he was an evil bastard who wanted to,
He wasn't introduced as an evil bastard, though.
This is pretty sketchy, though.
Well, I mean, he was technically her fiancé, so it wasn't a power dynamic thing. So,
well, I mean, depends how you see it. He was his superior officer.
Yeah, but if you flirt with your wife or your fiancé in the office, you're flirting with your fiancé. There's no power dynamic there. Also, not for nothing, her dad is the president. So technically, you think she might have the power dynamic on him. Do what I say, or I'll have my dad fire you. Like, there's a weird thing going on here.
Yeah.
So, but technically, he did not express himself as a villain from the get-go. He became one as time went on. So, more of a that, like if we did some sort of twist on that sort of thing. Because every Macross show so far has kind of been, what if we did this from this show, but twisted it with this other thing from another show?
Yeah.
Kind of how Gundam does it. Every Gundam is some sort of expression of a thing that we did in another Gundam with a twist. Well, I feel like the twist here might be, well, what if they're not actually the good guys?
I'll have to see much more and see if we got any evidence. So far, I don't think there's any evidence to that.
Well, of course not. Again, that's why I just said the wide open canvas. Anything could be anything right now.
Too early to speculate for me.
Never too late. Never too early. I mean, it can be too late, obviously. When no one else is talking about a thing, you're just speculating to yourself, in which case you'll go blind if you do it too much. But no, I mean, the earlier you can speculate, the better, because there's, again, it's like a funnel of speculation. Because the more stuff you know, the less stuff is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more fun to make guesses.
But I'm not gonna just turn in the dark. I like to have something to hang my speculations on, no matter how thin it might be.
The coat rack of speculations best done in a bright lit room. Is that your metaphor you want to go with?
Yeah.
Personally, I like a pit of speculation in a cave. The cave pit of speculation.
Yeah, looking at the wall and the shadows therein. Yeah.
No. I don't even need a light. Just throw everything in there. Just all the speculation in there. Whatever rises to the surface of the pit. I don't know. Metaphor is losing. Any final thoughts?
I like what I've seen so far. It is very high energy, and it does lean a lot on the music. So if it turns out that the music is mid to poor, then yeah.
Go figure,
I'm
a
intrigued.
Macross show would lean into the music.
No, but there is leaning into. Here's the difference. You can have a situation where this is fun, and then you introduce the music, and it makes it better, which I feel like, for example, shows like Frontier do. Like, hey, I like what's going on, like the characters. By the way, here's a concert, and it's awesome, and you like it, and it makes it better. Or everything is music and a little bit of action or intrigue, whatever. And if the music doesn't work for those 10, 15, 20 minutes per episode, or 15 or so minutes of the episode, you're left with the rest is not enough to fill in the blank. It's like, there's nothing there. So we'll see how they balance that out. So far, I do like the music. Nothing that's become an earworm yet, but it's likable. It's catchy.
Again, I gotta listen to it when I do my notes stuff because I don't really pick up on it. I just was focused on the lyrics. Sweaty, prickly, prickly. It's like, oh god, what's going on here? But then again, that was also somebody they were listening to on the radio when he was dancing in his work robot thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is it for our Prefetch edition. We might actually just be watching the same thing again next time when we do the episode 1 plus, because I don't know what the difference between the two would be.
Yeah.
But we will find out then. Otherwise, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?